Today we have Eric Simon from StackBlitz, the team behind Bolt.new. So 7 years ago, Eric was building cloud IDEs with millions of developers using the product, but zero revenue. So in essence, Eric was not getting paid. Then they made a bet on AI coding that changed everything. Eric calls it vibe coding, and he thinks that we are about to see non-technical founders building real software with AI agents, including product people, designers, and anyone from any walk of life will be building agents. In 6 months, it went from zero, or near death actually, all the way to $20 million in AR. This vision of empowering everyone to build agents is a vision that we share here at Paid, and a story that every founder needs to hear. Eric, let's get paid.
Eric, it's so good to have you. I've been thinking about this podcast for a long time, so thank you for making it in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm stoked about this.
So, a lot of our audience are agent builders, wannabe builders. They're all over the spectrum and want entrepreneurship all the way to entrepreneurship. So a lot of people want to, I know you told the story. You're probably tired of telling the same story over and over again. So let's pick a part of the story that was the most dramatic. Let's pick the lowest point in 2020. Was it 2024 when you made the pivot?
Yeah.
So let's pick the lowest point in 2024, and you and your co-founders, or you and your core group, what's going through your head as you're thinking, okay, do we double down on this LLM stuff or do we shut down? Just relive that minute for us, if you would.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, so prior to that low point in 2024, which would have been probably June of 2024, our company had been around for 7 years. We were not doing anything in AI. We were doing web-based development environments. So you could in a browser, you could build software without having to install anything on your computer. And we had a lot of adoption. We had a couple million developers a month using the product, but we just couldn't figure out how to make money. Developers just didn't want to spend money on this thing. And all the cloud IDEs, in the market had the same problem. No one could figure out how to make cloud IDEs something people would pay money for. And so we spent most of 2023 and then half of 2024 building out a gigantic release, that we were this is going to be the most powerful web-based IDE out there, da da da. It was a giant bet, and it didn't work. And I think our team was
So you double down on the product. I'm gonna take my cloud, my browser ID, and I'm gonna make it superb compared to everything else.
And a lot of the challenge for the core technology we made was very complicated, and so it took a lot of time to make this stuff work. And in retrospect, we could have gotten that same answer in a month or two versus a year and a half. And so that was a big mistake, I think, operationally for us. And I think this is one of the things about doing startups is that you have to be brutally honest with yourself about, is this working? Is it not? Do you go long here? Right? Because the core technology of the company, which by the way is what powers Bolt.new, one of the key differentiators, that took us, our company was a deep technology bet. When we raised our series C and our series A, it was we're going to build this technology that hasn't been built before. It's going to take years to do it, but if it works, it'll be amazing. It's going to bring operating systems into the browser, which will let you do, basically bring web development to the web, like Figma or Canva brought design to the web.
Yeah.
But once we built that technology and then we were on to iterating on the product shape around it, we didn't disconnect the out of the R&D mode where it's okay, no. When you're a startup, it is rare where you want to say, we're going to spend months to years building something without getting validation or feedback from customers. That's a very dangerous thing to do.
Dude, that is the anti-YC.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So you took that road and you went the complete opposite way. You know what I mean?
And it worked for us on the core technology. And so then that was the thing. And I think for the team we had built out, our perspective, we didn't do a good job. Now, as a leader, I didn't do a good job of saying, forget how we operated prior to us making the technology. Right.
Yeah.
And then when that cost us, a year and a half, not that it ultimately mattered, because as I'll get to in the story here, but but it's a good lesson. I just think for entrepreneurs in general is, by default, you should just never be spending more than a month or two or whatever on an iteration of something.
Yeah.
To get the customer feedback that it's actually about. Right. So That takes us to last summer.
So do you was there any customer feedback before you went down that rabbit hole? Like, did somebody say like, I wish this was 10x better, and then I would pay you a ton of money for it, or like you just went on an instinct? Like, what was the precipitating factor?
Good question. Yes, there were people that were excited about this, like,
Hmm.
large enterprise customers that were excited about the idea of having this stuff in their browser. When we launched the initial version of technology, it was like, in 2021. So there's kind of this mania, and people were buying everything. People were like, and companies were buying tons of software, often that didn't end up getting used. And so they were very stoked about this stuff. And so as we went into 2022, 2023, we took the enthusiasm from what we had been hearing, and we were like, okay, well, we need to go deliver on this crazy big stuff. By the time we delivered it, we turned around and they just weren't even there. They were not interested.
Oh wow,
And this happened to a lot of companies during the 21 era where it was like everyone was buying everything. And so like there was false demand effectively. So a
interesting.
lot of things that were not actually mission mainline critical ended up not getting renewed and that sort of thing during 2022, 2023.
So even the demand that you thought were gonna have just evaporated. So by the time you're ready with product, the demand wasn't there to catch it.
Yep, and even if there was demand, it's like the problem too is well, and what's the budget look like now? Like the budgets, like there were teams that wanted to buy it, but there's no budget now because it's like, well, what is this going to do for like the ROI scrutiny is 10x greater than what it
Right,
was in
right, right, right,
2021.
right. I remember
And
that.
so that for the business, for the product, the value we could deliver, it was not great enough to overcome that, right? And even for this was just generally a problem, and and still is for a lot of types of products, right? And so anyway, so that into the summer of 2024, we had put this thing online, did not see financial results come from it. And our team was like I think like 25 people at that time. And we still had like more than half the money in the bank that we had raised. But I think I want to say
Wait,
our
who do you raise from?
so we in our Series A was in 2022. That was led by Insight. And we raised I think like 21 or 22 million, I think, then. And we had half of that money still in the bank 2 years later. And
Got it.
I think we had like maybe 18 months of runway. Like we weren't at risk of going out of business,
Yeah,
but the picture was like bleak. It was like the product that we worked on for a year didn't work out.
yeah. So
Um,
walk me through that board meeting for a minute. Like you step up to the board meeting. What's happening there? Like, what's the update? What's the mood?
it started at the end of 23 where basically it was like, what's the plan? Like how are we gonna go generate revenue,
like
right? And
like Mission Impossible style. You know what I mean? It's like, all
I
right,
wish
man,
it was as cool.
we're under a truck here underwater. What's the plan?
Yeah. I I wish it was as cool and as fun as a Mission Impossible movie, but it was like, and I think it was like it was the right questions, for our board members to be asking, right? Is like, how is this a venture scale business? Because at the end of 23, we were probably doing, I don't know, 250K of ARR or something, maybe, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that we need to be doing millions of dollars in revenue for this to make any sense.
Yeah,
And we were like, well, we're going to go launch this product. Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to go launch this product. We're going to go ramp our GTM sales machine. Like we're going to go hire our first head of sales, da 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 da. And by the end of 2024 on our enterprise sales stuff, we went from 200K to 700, right? Which like for like going from zero, with a product that's hard to sell. I mean, that's like with one guy leading the sales there, that's pretty impressive.
that is pretty impressive. It's $500,000 in like one guy.
Yeah.
That's not
It's
bad. That's not bad.
it's not a bad show, right? I mean, it's not a bad show. I
Yeah,
mean, the problem is it's not enough though for like, what we needed to go and prove out. And so but basically the kind of the plan was, all right, we're gonna spend 2024 figuring out like we're gonna go try this and we're gonna turn over every other
yeah.
stone. And
Oh wait,
if
before
by the end
2024, so you release this thing, and like, what is the community response to this? Do you blow their mind, or are they like, what's this?
yeah, engineers' minds were blown, but it's also it's kind of like it's cool technology and it's like useful in as like a toy maybe or something, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the usage we saw from developers was ancillary stuff where they're prototyping or like doing things that are not mission critical to like their inner development loop. And so they
Got
just
it.
wouldn't pay money for it, right? So we had a lot of people using it and loving it. but just like the depth of usage and relation to use cases that tied to ROI for a business just weren't there, right?
Mm,
And so, and then, the plan for 2024 with the board was like, let's go launch this stuff, crank our sales machine, and by Q2 we'll know. And by the end of Q2, it wasn't there. Like we weren't on the trajectory. And so the hardest moment, coming back to your first question, was I was looking at our financials and I'm like, we have too many people at the company. Like for the performance we're seeing, like we have like 12 to 18 months. Can't remember what it was at that time of runway. We have to extend this, like, because if we're gonna go try and get the company bought or whatever, we need more time, right? And so the hardest moment was having to let go of, I think it was, 7 or 8 people, maybe more than that at the company. Um, but it was also the moment where we started working on Bolt. Because it was basically, we did a layoff, and then in that, in the same call with the team where we announced, "Hey, these folks are having to depart," um, I said, "And here's the final bet we're doing. It's gonna be this product called Bolt. We've gotten we got a sneak peek of kinda some of the upcoming models, from Anthropic that like, we tried building Bolt earlier in the year, but the current models at that time weren't good enough, and so when we got kind of a sneak preview of the new Anthropic stuff, it was like, this solves the problems we were running into prior, and so the plan was we've got 90 days to go and ship this thing before the next board meeting, and um, hopefully this changes the tide, right? And if not, then we'll figure out what to do next. Our team wasn't generally aware that we were gonna have to start spinning down the company or whatever have you, but it was like, that hey, we have to go try a whole bunch of different ideas, and this is gonna be one of the main final ones we try here. But yeah.
so pause for a minute. How do you retain a team like that? When, like, they're not stupid, right? Like, you gave it like this big swing and miss for like a year and a half. So now you're telling them that that didn't work out. Not only didn't it work out, but like I need to let some people go. But I have this other bet that I think is gonna work out. How do you motivate a crew in that circumstance?
Yeah, good question. I think that, the people that we'd hired into the team, they and this includes my co-founder and I, we like working on the stuff we build just because it's intrinsically, interesting to us. Like the technology we built at this company, the products we built, that's kind of bonded our team, for the past 8 years of working together. Like the guys the core, like 5 or 6 guys we hired, all of them still work here 8 years later. Uh, and so it's pretty tight knit, and I think beyond that, we saw success throughout the years. It wasn't like it's just been 8 years of just getting our butts kicked. We never did anything meaningful. Like we built technology that was no one had done before, that like was respected by engineers right around the world to the tune of millions a month. And the fact it didn't connect to the business reality, um, was frustrating, but at the same time, none of us, like, came in here to do this purely for the sake of getting rich or something. In fact, like, I think all of us, and I think the right way to view starting a startup is the equity is likely not gonna be worth anything just by the sheer number of startups that die every year, right? Like,
Right.
this is probably not gonna be the one, and that's okay, and that frees you from to, like, not be locked in on something that is not going to work, right? And it
Right.
allows you to do your best work because you what's the point then?
You
To
got
have
nothing to lose. Yeah,
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 have
yeah.
fun. You're already naked. Go have fun, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And,
100%.
and so I think that was, and certainly it was a low point for us as a team, but it helps to just have something that it to go and do and put work into and make it great. And it also comes from the top of just bringing the energy every day of like, let's go make something that kicks ass. I care about this. I care about the details of this. I want this to be great. If I had kind of taken a back seat and gone, we're gonna launch this bold thing, like, and just kind of like just depressed about, I don't know, yeah, you just not being like, "Fuck it, let's let's go have some fun," you
That's
know?
right, that's right, that's right.
If that was we would have never shipped. We built it in 90 days. We had to build it in 90 days because 120 days from then, the board meeting was gonna happen. We were gonna start spinning down the company. And we barely got it online in 90. with energy, with,
Damn.
having fun, right? So anyway, so it's like, I think that's how you have to, that's the only way it can happen, is you gotta be having fun um, and pushing yourself to beyond limits that that you thought, were possible, right? And so,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well, that's leadership, right? Getting other people to do what they didn't think it was possible themselves to do.
totally.
That's that's what that's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So okay, so you're 95 days out. This thing ships. Your board meeting is in 30 days or like 25 days at this point. What's going on? Like what's going through your head? What's going through the team? This is new magical thing.
We've launched Bolt basically. It's like week 1,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When did that Twitter happen? When did that tweet happen?
October 3rd of 2024.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It was, uh yeah, that was the date, and we recently, a week ago, crossed over, the 1-year mark, since we launched the thing, and yeah, we launched it with a tweet. That was it. No blog post or anything else, and it went viral, and, for the first, like, 2 or 3 months, every single day, we just kept adding there's more users using the product every single day, more revenue being added than the day before.
That's amazing. That's
And
amazing.
I mean, I've never seen anything like I've been doing startups for 15 years, and the way this works, typically, of everything else I've ever worked on is you launch a thing. If you do kick ass and you do everything well, ton of hype on the day you launch, ton of people come and try it. The next day, you have a third of the traffic of the launch day. The day after that, you have a fifth, an eighth, a tenth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you're down to like some really, really small number of people trickling into your product, and you have to figure out who cares about this? How do we make them care more about the how do we, and you spend a shitload of time, months, years, like figuring out how to build a business and like build a product that people love. And so I for the first month, I every day I would wake up and I would check our metrics. And I was just waiting for the day where I'd wake up and it's like, okay, it's going down.
It
Like,
began. It begins. It
yeah,
begins.
it's like the hype was real, and so the first week it was kinda like, "Okay, guys," like, yeah, the first day, I remember one of our engineers in our general channel in Slack was like, "Whoa, we added $60,000 of ARR." By the way, when we launched Bolt, we were at $700,000 of ARR, right? And so we thought, "Hey, if we add $100,000 of ARR by the end of the year, from this,
That's amazing.
that would be
Yeah.
fucking
That's amazing.
incredible," right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um Day one, engineers like, "Hey, we added $60,000 of ARR today, it looks like." And I was like, "All right, temper your enthusiasm. Here's how this works. Tomorrow is not gonna
Yeah.
be like." The next day, we added like 80. And I was like, "Okay, okay, like this is, like," and the first week I was like, "Guys, this is like it's I've never seen this. This is just launch week. Like, I don't know. Like we're probably gonna see more." We added 1,000,000 of ARR the first week. We added 1,000,000 every week thereafter in the first month. And then in month 2, we went from 4,000,000 of ARR to 20.
That's insane.
Is just nuts. And everyone I talked to about this, like on our cap table and founders, friends, whatever, like no one had seen anything like it at the time. And uh, and so the first month, I was waiting for the day we would wake up, and it's like, okay, this stops, and it's back to kind of reality, right? And
Yeah.
it never came, and it still hasn't come, and um so anyways, that to me was, what was just mind blowing about the whole experience is, it it it's a complete outlier in my decade and a half of experience building startups, you know?
How did the your early experience? You say you've been at this game for 15 years. So you seem so you put in some hard miles, right? Like way harder than this. So I was reading about your early days where you were like, living in the AOL office paying what, $1 a day to use
Yep.
their place and like eating in frat houses. Like it was just like that those are even harder miles. Like how did that build you? Like what do you draw from that early experience was is even harder
Yeah.
to like see through it? Because most people would have given up before the bolt moment. You know what I mean? Like they would have given up at that point and be like, all right, let's just wrap it up and go home. Get a job at Microsoft. Be done.
Good point and good question. I think it's tolerance of pain over long periods of time. Like, in Navy SEAL training, I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I've, like, listened to some of these guys that have done this, and, like, I mean, a lot of what they train you to do is to be wet and cold all the time.
It is.
It it's and
With sand, so grimy too.
100%, and because, you know, it's just part of it's part of their daily that's just their job. They're constantly wet, they're constantly cold, they're
Yeah,
constantly
yeah,
covered in crap. Their guns constantly getting jammed. It's because of all those things. And so, that's actually a really key part though of why they, end up being extremely good operators because they don't get discouraged by that stuff. They don't get they it's normal. They've acclimated to that to really harsh, environmental challenges. And so I think when you kinda look at the earlier parts of my career, I was 19, like, I to the who I am today and, like, I've got a family and stuff, there's no way I can live out of an office building. I don't have the grit for it, but I was, like, 19 and I didn't care, like, my standard for living was, like, nothing, and this is why guys live in frat houses and they're like, it's terrible, but they don't care.
right.
And, but, but yeah, it just kinda taught me a lot about, you know, the level of kind of discomfort you can be in for long periods of time, which ultimately for startups, like it's not comfortable. Like it's not, if you're doing your job right, it's almost never comfortable. And the moments that are fleeting. Uh,
Right.
and so if you want to increase your odds of success, a lot of it is about just how long can you stay in the game, and that's basically what's your endurance for pain over long periods of time. You know,
Yeah. But but there's also the, know when to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
for
So,
sure.
what was the decision point by which, like, told you that, look, this last bet is the bet that is going to make it? Like, I know you're saying let's have fun, whatever. But like there must have been something going in your mind that where you had these two arguments running concurrently, right? Like just fold it and go home and try the next thing, or make this big bet. Like
Yeah.
how,
Well, like
like because a lot of people are gonna go through that too. Like nothing is linear and up and to the right.
yeah.
So when does somebody just finishes the swing and see what's on the other side, and when does somebody just like say fuck it, let's try something new?
Yeah, I think it's the job of the entrepreneur to just turn over all the stones, but to be intellectually honest with themselves about, like, do we see a path here, right? And so, like, when
Mm,
our board at the end of 2023 is going, do you see a path here, right? Like, what is your path?
right,
What path do you see through this, Eric CEO? And I, if you have to be, uh, some people's initial reaction is just gonna be like, "Nah, man, like, we're gonna have, like, the craziest, they're gonna be the biggest thing ever." It's just like dreams of grandeur, detached from reality, right?
right.
Which is the wrong way to do it, by the way.
Mm.
And the right way is to go, "Okay, well, let me really think about this. Like, what are the ideas that we have that, like, how we wanna go and approach this, and turn over all the stones of them and see if we don't learn something or glean some insights that will lead us onto a path," right? That's all you can do. That's your only move. Your only move is is to go and scavenger hunt, right? For what it's like you're in the middle of the forest,
Well,
you're like,
no. The other move is fold. So
"Hey."
like you have the other move is
That's
fold.
fair.
So like one move is go make food out of whatever is around in your environment.
Well, and the thing is, and the correct move to fold is after you've sufficiently scavenged the environment around you, you're like, "This is inhospitable. Nothing can live here," right? Nothing
There's
can live
nothing is
here.
edible here.
Yeah, nothing, like, this is the Martian surface. No life, no air, nothing. Like, we're gonna
Yeah,
die. We will die,
yeah.
and so we can sit here and burn through investor money, y sucking out the final oxygen out of the bank account on the Martian surface, or yeah, and so that's kind of where you gotta get to, though, of, like, eh, and I think for people that are doing startups, often there is an angle. Sometimes it comes down to timing, though. Like, if so one of our competitors in the cloud IDE space, the most direct one, we were knife fighting these guys, another startup based out of Europe, great team, smart. Their product in a lot of ways is better than ours. They constantly chafing us for years, since 2017 to 2024. It was just we were knife fighting, blah, blah, blah. They were running out of money, and 2 weeks before we launched Bolt, they got acqui-hired for parts. Their product
Jesus.
mothballed, like, just nothing. And then we launched Bolt. And the only reason we were able to do that is because we preserved our money. We were very capital efficient. We made sure we could get as many shots on goal as possible, right? And turn over all the stones and have years to try and figure it out. And that is the reason, the main reason, right? That is
Got
the
it.
difference between us and that other company. And so sometimes your environment will change. Sometimes in, what will look like a place where no life can grow suddenly gets rain, you know? And and so I think that the job of the entrepreneur is dude, if you're in a desert where there's no water, it's tough to keep believing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Even if you're turning over every stone or whatever that's around you, but that's your job and you have to do it. And you have to take that into the reality of your runway and whatever. And sometimes, dude, there's this happens a lot where ideas were tried. I had good friend of mine, made an AI assistant startup, like, where you could email it. It was basically an EA as an AI agent back in 2017,
Oof.
right?
Nothing worked back then. That's a tough go.
And they
That's
had to
tough
heavily
go.
use humans to do it. They raised their seed. They might have raised an A, and then it was and dreams, big dreams that were,
Right.
and they would have been if they had stuck around, if they had cut the burn. Listen, at the end of the day, it was like I think they got sold off in like 29 to 2020. It's like that was 2 years before Tragic. 2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
kept the
yeah, yeah.
runway for 2 years. You would have been there. You would have been there. You would
Yeah,
have been the first thing there, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's like this timing matters. Timing matters a ton. And I think that's how you have to look at it. And when you're in the moment, you don't get the benefit of seeing years into the future of what's going to happen, but you have to just be going. The only thing you can do is turn over every stone and get you know be extremely clear on what the environment is around you, et cetera, and pray for rain if things aren't looking good today.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So
All right. So now you hit the jackpot. Things are going up and to the right. You stop telling the team to forget it because things are just going up and to the right. What's your paranoia telling you right now? How do you keep momentum? Like, what is the right way to build spend this bad boy so that you can keep the rocket in the right direction? It's like, is this spinning up a sales team or going down into the rabbit hole of another like year long implementation that is going to come out on
no.
the other end and it's going to be amazing, or you're never fucking doing that again?
Yeah, no, no. Well, I didn't. We might or whatever, right? But like, I think for us, a lot of it is like I think we found some amount here of like product market fit, and so I think once you have this, it's really about how are you further accelerating that. How can you go, and especially the market space we're in is so competitive. There's like we were like the first vibe coding tool that launched. Now there's like probably 100 of these things out there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so the
Wait,
question
wait.
is like
Who? Yeah, when you launch, who else launched?
when we launched.
You guys were the first, no?
We're effectively the first vibe coding tool. I mean, like,
Yeah, yeah.
other
You
than, like,
like
Cursor or whatever, but, like,
you went into that jungle. You opened up a path for everybody to walk on. So, like,
absolutely.
who came in with you?
With us, within a couple of months, Lovable and Replit were the 2 ones that entered right after, and then there was a deluge of tons of these things. But
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
3
yeah.
of us were the ones that basically cemented the market share effectively of
Mm,
this.
yeah.
Um, and so now that there's and now the incumbents, like, Figma's got a thing, Wix has a thing, there's
But
tons of these things.
do they
Co
work? Like, I'm not seeing good reviews,
It's
but
it may not
maybe I'm not
be,
in the game.
it's certainly not at the level of, like, our stuff, right? But at the same time, it depends on the user you're catering to, right? And so for us,
Mm,
the way we look at it is, I think it's very important to go and focus on, a specific type of customer that we really care about. Any of the startups in this market, I would imagine are doing the same thing.
right.
'Cause,
The
to really grow and build a gigantic company, the answer is always in the customers, right? Of what the
right,
next
right.
big thing and big paradigm shift is gonna be, you know?
So who is your core
Um,
customer now? So, like, you didn't know that when you launched because,
yep.
you were just, like, throwing shit at the wall. So now, like, you got a business of people who are coming and getting more of it. So, like, what's that core customer that is just gonna be a bold fan, hell or high
PMs.
water?
PMs at product teams at
Oh,
companies.
shut up. Seriously, PMs.
Yep.
That is the least expected answer that I have. That's really, really interesting.
Yep.
So you
And
you are
also, like,
creating a
honestly,
new category of like PM coders now.
bingo, right? Because if you think about the job, and this also applies to like founders, entrepreneurs as well, by the way, but like PMs are like the one that we're very focused on because they are, they're working at large companies where they're shipping real things to production. And the when we launched Bolt, within a month after talking to folks, it became clear to me the how the world builds software is going to completely change in the next couple of years. Specifically, to date, for the past decades, PMs jobs have been to write Jira tickets, assign them to the developers, and like hope, beg, and pray that they actually implement it, and hope they
Yeah,
implement
yeah,
it
yeah,
in
yeah,
the way that they explained in the ticket. And if they don't, they have to write another ticket, right?
yeah. And maybe attach a Figma file to it and see what happens.
Yep, and then they have to hope that the designer did, it's just like they're the people responsible for crafting the product experience, have the most knowledge on what the product experience should be to see the business success outcomes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're just relying on other people to do the things, right? And it takes forever, and it's, it- you kind of look at what's going on with this stuff, and it's like, well, what they're writing in a Jira ticket, if you hit enter on that in Bolt, it's just going to do it, and they're going to like see the results of it and go, okay, well, maybe I'll tweak this thing, blah blah blah, and then they click make pull request or whatever, and
Right.
then and now and that an engineer didn't get sucked into some probably rather trivial UI change. They're working on higher cognitive load tasks. They're reviewing the code the LLM wrote, which is like, pretty good and straightforward. And that company just shipped something in a tenth of the time.
Interesting. So are you
Like
turning PMs into programmers or you're making them better at doing their previous job?
making them better at their previous job because I mean, if you kind of think about it, like the they're still writing product specs, but they're still writing a
Right.
Jira ticket or whatever. They're just the thing that's writing the code to check the Jira ticket off is just
Yeah.
it's not a human, it's something that can do it in 60 seconds or whatever versus 6 business days,
Yeah,
whatever it would
yeah, yeah.
take.
All right. So when did this dawn on you? Like what was the aha moment that you went to your team? It was like, hey guys, holy fuck, we're selling to PMs now. Because
It
that's not how you started. Like
No,
that's relatively new.
we thought we were gonna sell to developers originally,
Y-
and so the first month, it was like I was waiting for the day where it'd wake up and it stopped growing or whatever, and we didn't understand, like, who the hell was using this thing because it was for developers, all this money's coming in, the people in our support inbox and the people we're talking to, like, they're not developers, right? And we're like,
Mm.
"What is this?" And we have people and still today, we have people of every walk of life, salespeople, my mom, like, just like literally everyone can use this thing. But what became clear is when we were, people that were working at companies, when we talked to them, it was product teams. It was not the development teams. There's some developers for sure, but it was product folks, designers, whatever. And and once we talked to them, I was like, oh, holy shit, this is. I understand why this thing continues to just keep growing,
Yeah.
and I understand why that's not gonna stop, and this segment, this is huge. This changes everything. Also, we need to go raise a Series B right now because we need to scale up now. Like, this is not some
Yeah.
ephemeral, like, until that point, I was like, "I don't know, like, what this could go away, like, how do we don't understand." Once we understood, I was like, "We need to go raise money immediately because we have to scale up. We have
Right,
to
right,
because
right.
this
Like
is
now that
huge."
you know, you have to go get the whole market.
Absolutely. Absolutely, right? And so that's what we did in, like, 2 weeks. We ran a process, and it was like we had 15 people on the team. We were serving, 40,000 paying customers or something, and my chief of staff and I
Jesus.
were spending, 4 or 5 hours a day responding to email tickets. We were getting 500 to 1,000 a day.
Damn.
And we had no one on our support side, at the company at that time. So going into fundraising for 2 weeks was, I mean, a high
Oh, that
risk
was
maneuver,
well, that
because
was painful. Yeah, yeah. Because like otherwise
absolutely.
you'd
So,
take the eye of the ball.
yep.
So now that you're hardening around this persona, like what is your growth motion, go to market motion, marketing motion? Like what's ahead?
Yeah, I think, a lot for us, like, we're still very much like a product-led growth, sort of thing. So, like, we certainly wanna keep growing our top of funnel and people, like, using the product and that sort of thing. I think, when you go and do B2B, I mean, the classic B2B, like, so, earlier in the year, we hired a head of sales, and we've got a sales team, I think, of now, like, 5 or 6 people, and they're crushing it, doing an incredible job. On the marketing end of the GTM motion, there's, a lot of B2B oriented things of, like, events-based marketing, account-based marketing, et cetera, things of
Yeah.
that nature, and so we're starting to
Yeah.
dig into those things, and,
Well,
we're
you're
gonna
also big on community. How are you parlaying the community into like this newfound persona, newfound growth, and like now being part of the engine that keeps the thing going?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's huge for us, right? Where, the the product-led growth machine is really where all of our revenue comes from. It's people coming and using the products, then signing up for a Teams account or contacting us about the enterprise account. And so for us, it's like going and providing the best experience, on the market, and going and doing things that energize and engage the community is really key. And so, like, back at the end of Q2, we threw a hackathon that had like $1 million in prizes. It's like the world's largest hackathon. We had like, I think it was like 130,000
Wait, shit.
people.
Whose idea was that? Like, we're actually gonna copy that idea. Whose idea? Who did that for
It
you?
it was actually not even our idea. There's, this guy, KP, he works over at Paddle. He tweeted, he was like, "If I was the CEO of Bolt, I would throw the world's largest hackathon, have Guinness World Records actually, like, validate it, and, to for the purpose of this being a lightning rod to get everyone out there aware that vibe coding is a thing and you can, like, build software."
Yeah.
And so I replied to him, I was like, "Alright, let's do it." And so I quote tweeted it and I was like, "Okay, so how big should the prize pool be here? Like, $100,000 or what?" And then within 2 hours, we had $1 million committed to the prize pool. And we're like, "Okay, so we're doing this." Like, but it all started on
Wait,
Twitter.
how do
Like,
you break it to the board that he's like, listen up. Like, I know it sounds I know it sounds weird, but I'm gonna take $1 million that you gave me, and we're gonna put it out as a price
this is
for a
here's the
hackathon.
thing. We didn't. So we tweeted, we were like, "Hey, we want to get some, who would want to sponsor this?" And my tweet went viral. And so all these companies replied, and like we're in our DMs and
Oh shit,
stuff.
you got people to sponsor it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you pay anything for Do you pay anything for this? Or they go,
I think
nothing out
we
of
kicked
pocket?
in.
Do you actually make money in this like a lottery?
No, we all of it got to spread. We certainly like, well, I mean, our ROI from people adopting Bolt afterwards, whatever, was extremely positive. The hackathon itself, we certainly lost money or whatever, but I mean, but with the expectation of, hey, we're gonna have 130,000 people that are all signing up for Bolt accounts and stuff, and we'll make money of that, which we did. Um, and but yeah, like the prize pool, yeah, I think we kicked in at maybe I had, don't quote me, but it's like maybe 100K. I think we ended up kicking in
That's
because
it?
we had a full, yeah, because
Wait,
we had a
you
whole
kick in
bunch of
100K, you got $1 million worth of value out of it because of the
yeah,
sponsorship.
$1 million of prizes. So we added, yeah, like maybe a dozen sponsors or something. It might have been more. Maybe we put in 250. I can't remember. It was something like that, but the majority came from the sponsors that we brought in. And for those sponsors, this was huge ROI for them as well. Because it like a lot
That's
of the sponsors
amazing.
that came in
That's
all were
amazing.
relevant things. Like one company entry, like they sell domains. And so everyone who participated in the hackathon got a free domain name through them, right? And, so 130,000 people when, signed up for their service. Supabase, is like a back end thing. Like everyone was using Supabase during it. So it ended up being like a crazy, like probably the best marketing activation event we've ever done. And it was at scale too. Usually when you scale the stuff up, it doesn't work. It's like, or at least the conversion rates don't hold. This one did. And it was actually better than a lot of the smaller scale stuff we've done.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, it was cool.
So what do you wish for your audience to be? Just to be better PMs? Or you want them to be entrepreneurs and being able to build like full products on Bolt? Like what's the long-term vision now
Yeah,
that you
well,
hit?
I think, I mean, entrepreneurs and PMs are, I mean, extremely similar in the sense that they are, to be really good at either of those jobs, you have to be good at looking at the market needs, the customer needs, and envisioning an experience and collaborating with engineering design and, to go and ship that, right? And if you do your job well, you get to you build a business that provides value and is durable and sustainable, et
Right.
cetera. And so that's what we want for everyone using the product for sure. And so I think startup founders are as well as someone we care about because they resemble very much PMs at companies. But and in their case, they're starting very greenfield, and their need to iterate fast is perhaps even more than a PM. Uh, but yeah, so I think generally speaking, product development is all about building great businesses, right?
Right.
Um,
All right.
and so
Let's spice this up a little bit. So, what makes Bolt stand out in a world that can now ship an ID or like a a vibe coding thing on top of Claude, in days? Like
yeah,
what's going to happen?
yeah, totally. Well, I think the big thing that we've really invested in is having the state of the art stuff under the hood powering this, not just for like the agent, but also the infrastructure that you need to host your apps for your database to store information, like the website itself and domains and blah blah blah.
Right.
On
But
Bolt, like
wait,
when
like
you,
what? Like wouldn't Lovable say the same fucking thing?
they would, but the issues, and so them and Replit, they took the choice of rolling their hosting, rolling their agent. They rolled all this stuff themselves, which prior to 6 months ago, not a bad strategy. It was kind of the only strategy.
Right.
What we've done, and we launched this like a week or two ago. We've actually Bolt now under the hood, it's like when you come to Bolt and you prompt anything, you get a full production environment that is powered by Netlify and Supabase. So all of your cloud infrastructure is powered by these companies that have been doing this for a decade plus, right? Built into Bolt,
Yeah.
like no extra subscription. It's there, can scale to millions. These guys have scaled like Uber and Twilio and whatever, right?
Got it.
That is built into every Bolt project. And also the agent, the thing that's actually writing the code and configuring all this stuff. We've gone and integrated with Anthropic's Claude Code stuff, OpenAI's Codex stuff. So you're actually getting the frontier agents that the AI labs themselves have been building for the past 6 months versus when you go to Replit or Lovable or any of these other guys, they've they've home rolled their own agents at which and they perform far worse than the Frontier
Mm,
Labs ones, right? And
right.
so the main reason people come to Bolt is and why we are the state of the art now for vibe coding again a year later is that it is the best, most comprehensive experience that is dead simple to use, right?
Mm,
And so I think that's really the main reason. A good analogous example here of like what I'm talking about is like Vercel is a good example of a company that they don't own any hardware. They don't sell like they don't have cloud servers. They rent those from Amazon, right? But they do an amazing job choosing the best stuff and creating the best, most seamless experience to deploy and scale to millions of people, right?
right.
Bolt, we have done the same exact approach for a holistic end-to-end vibe coding, platform, right? Where you come in, you
Got
can
it.
describe what you want, it can configure all the infrastructure, debug it, build it, deploy it, scale you, etc., without you having to do literally anything other than typing in a chat box, right?
Got it.
And so that's the main difference.
So are you gonna continue to outrun everybody by just having the best stuff at all times, like so that you become a brand that is known to have the best stuff at all times? If I have, wake up one morning, I'm like, I feel like bytecoding this thing. Where do I go? And then you become the associative brand
For
to
sure.
excellence in bytecoding.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, and this is why are we focused on PMs? Like, we want to build a professional tool, right? Like, we want to build a professional productivity tool that when you come to it, you know that it's going to be the best possible experience that companies actually trust to do their workloads. Which is like, we are the number one professional vibe coding tool. Like, we're in 72% of the Fortune 500, and this is why. It's because we've our focus has been on having actual the best performance, reliability, and the best experience that connects all the things you need to like take your ideas and put them into reality.
Yeah.
And that's what drives us, right? And the devil's is just in the details of this stuff, right? Because you could say a lot of people will say, well, don't use Vercel, go use AWS directly. It's like you go try that, you get why Vercel's got a business because it's like not not easy to go and like piece these things together. And there's other inferior versions of Vercel that have downtime issues and whatever have you. And so the most direct way people see, like if you use Lovable or Replit or whatever, you constantly get stuck in error loops because their agents are not great.
Yeah.
Their hosting is leaking data, right? That shouldn't be leaked. It's going down. Like you can't get a hold of their support, blah, blah, blah. All this sort of stuff just accumulates. And it's like, okay, well, am I gonna trust this to build my business?
Right,
Probably
right,
not,
right,
you know?
right. So what is that you're seeing in the market that the founder of Windsurf did not see? Because these are like a tale of two cities, right? Like one, you're doubling down on this thing and you let's fucking go. The other dude folded. Who's gonna be wrong? Who's gonna be right?
I don't know. I mean, I think for windsurf, I wonder, I wonder how much Cursor's just sheer dominance, factored into that decision, you know?
Hmm.
Um, because 'cause they're doing on the order of, it's somewhere between 5 and 10x the revenue of Windsor, and that's tough. I mean, that's a, if you're, like, within, like, 2, 3x, I mean, that's doable.
But wait, they were like that when Windsurf sold. Like it wasn't that far out, was it?
It was meaningful. It was meaningful. Yeah, like,
Okay,
for
so
my
that so Corsa just pull ahead in such a way that it was just like boom.
yeah, they were at a minimum of 5x where,
Ah, okay. So yeah, it felt
minimum.
like game over at that point.
It's really not that it wins. I think Windsurf could have had a business, but the problem is that once these things get to that sort of scale and size, and when it's not like Cursor was asleep at the wheel, so it's I don't know anything about the internals of that battle between those two companies, but just outside looking in, once the flywheel starts in a crazy way like that, where
Yeah, yeah,
when you're talking like 5x plus, it's harder. It's just harder, right?
right.
You have to have something very unique that's gonna, change the tide, and so I think for where we're at,
But what went through
um
your head when you read those news? Like, was it just that, or you panic a little bit too? Like, what the fuck does he know that I don't know? Or we're like, ah, yeah, of course he's gonna fold. It's too far out.
Yeah, it was
Can't
unsurprising to
catch
me.
up.
Yeah, it was unsurprising to me because, like, I think that
Really?
given yeah, it was unsurprising, just 'cause I think in the market we're in, there's gonna be a lot of consolidation that happens,
Right.
and so it didn't surprise me given the delta between Windsurf's revenue and Cursor's, uh, that their best move would be to consolidate with someone way bigger that had way more distribution and then go smoke Cursor with that distribution, because that's the only thing Cursor had that they didn't was more distribution.
Right.
And so that's the equation. Put very simply, if you're going up against a competitor with more distribution than you have, like substantially more, where it's like crossing that chasm is just not realistically possible, right? A relevant thing to go do is talk to other companies that have even more distribution than that competitor of yours and go, "We would be better together, don't you think?"
But wait,
Right?
Devin didn't have a distribution, did they?
The original deal was with OpenAI, right,
Oh, got it, got it. So you're talking about the original deal, right? Okay, so
and I
got it.
think the problem, and so I don't know the details of what happened, but my outside looking in, my guess is OpenAI was gonna pick him up. Great deal, like, that
Right.
did checks
Yeah,
the
100%.
boxes.
Everybody got money there.
Yeah, there's a snafu with it, right? But the problem then is Windsurf has taken their foot off the pedal. That everyone knows they're for sale very publicly. Didn't go through. Doesn't look good. I don't know if investors would put in more money. Like, I mean, a lot of things I've never seen actually anything quite like what happened with those guys. And so I imagine they were scrambling to land the bird in any way. So I think
Got it.
what ended up having to happen didn't reflect what the actual Better Together story should have been. Although I will say the Cognition guy, like I chatted with Jeff at Cognition a couple days ago, and he's sorry, Jeff is running Windsurf at Cognition, and it makes a lot of sense actually why Cognition picked them up, because it was actually a Better Together story for both of those companies, at that time. So like that's anyways, but that's the general, like, how you
But
look at these things,
of course he's gonna say that. What is he gonna say? Like, I'm stuck with this turkey and just gotta make it fly. Like, no, he's
No,
gonna be
no.
like,
So
oh,
okay,
it's
so
awesome, dude, it's
it
awesome. This thing is gonna go off the
it's a
shelf.
good here's the reason actually. So Cognition has really great, like, excellent AI engineering talent in house. They did not have a go to market team and machine built out though, right?
Yeah.
When Windsurf was acquired by Google, Google took all the AI engineers and they left the go-to-market machine that was actually working really well, right?
Mm,
And so what happens, you have the shell of a company with no AI engineers but GTM machine, and you have Cognition, which is AI team, really no GTM team, and that's why it made a ton of sense is it basically pulled forward them building out a really good GTM team that proved it over the course of 40 50 million ARR that Windsurf was doing, added 40, 50 million then to Cognition. Cognition's AI engineers are then able to actually continue the Windsurf core development, right? So
Yeah.
in that sense, it actually made a ton of sense of why those guys bit so quickly. Because I was
Yeah.
like, that seems kind of impulsive. Why would they do that?
Right.
That is why, actually. Like it made a ton of sense for them to do it.
That's awesome. Well, how do you make what was the dynamic now with Claude now that they're getting into code? I mean, they're probably not as easy to use as Bolt, I would say. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's 100% not as easy to use and as fun as Bolt. But like, what's gonna be the dynamic going forward where you have a little bit of co-opetition, right? Like, that customer base of yours, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
How is it gonna play out?
I think I'm sure the frontier labs are gonna go and release their own things here.
Yeah.
That I would certainly expect that. I think that again, it comes down to, like, who are the customers that we are targeting, that they are targeting. To go and really, like, build something that's amazing for product teams and entrepreneurs, very different than a general purpose, "Hey, you can come to ChatGPT and make a website for your dog." Like, it's very different workflows, very different, uh, capabilities that will matter to those end customers. So I think those are the main things, but I think more broadly is that, uh, you know, when we were doing a cloud IDE, we had been working on it since 2017, um, and no one this was not a thing anyone else was really doing, none of the big companies, and certainly not Microsoft was the, 900-pound gorilla in the room, and they were not in the market. 2019, they announced they were gonna do GitHub Codespaces, and the second that happened, I was like, "Hell yeah." Because
Mm,
what happened after that was that it became a thing. Gardner was
right.
putting it in their reports. It was now a real thing. It's a real
Got it. Got
segment.
it. Now you got to market. Now you got to market.
Yeah. Once the big guys get involved, it actually like IBM entering, into the personal computer game, they're doing a whole bunch of free marketing of this is a thing the world should care about. They have
Right.
way more money than we do to go tell that story.
Right.
You can build software now if you're a non-developer, proliferate that. We don't have I would love to tell, 9 billion people or whatever, like, that they can do that. We don't have the money, but these guys do, or at least close to it. Um, and they're gonna go do that, and then as these people come through that and they're like, "This thing is not serving my needs because I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a PM or whatever," they're gonna go Google, "Hey, I need a thing like ChatGPT's web builder thing or whatever, but, like, that allows me to actually ship real apps to build business." And then da 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 da, like we're at the top of the search or whatever, right? Like, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
that
that's
that to me is
I'll buy that.
that's the rising tide here is going to be awesome,
Yeah.
but you're going to get wiped out by the tsunami wave that precedes it if you're not focusing on what customers do you want to go acquire, you know? So
That's amazing. That's amazing. Dude, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for being frankly for being you. You just take and you speak your truth and we really enjoy that.
thanks, man. Appreciate it. I've loved chatting with you. This is fun.
Yeah, no, that was all. It was inspiring too. Like that story of like, coming out from the ashes is shit. Like more people need to hear that, because the grind is hard and the grind is real, you know what I mean? And like probability of failure is much bigger than probability of success. So we
Yeah,
all need to just stay in the game.
totally, totally.
All right, Eric, good to see you.
Yeah, you too.